When the sun sets and the world begins to quiet, that is not the end of your day. It is the beginning of your healing. The night is a sacred temple, and the hours you spend resting are not passive. They are the most powerful time your body has to rebuild, regenerate, and restore what time, stress, and movement have worn down. Many believe that strength fades with age. But strength is not lost. It is neglected. And if it's dead, then the sun use this second to bless. It is neglected. What we do not nourish will wither, and what we consistently care for will grow, even at 60, 70, or beyond. After 60, your body speaks in whispers. It no longer shouts like it did in youth. Now it signals softly, through stiffness in your knees, weakness in your grip, or a slow fatigue that wraps around your legs. This is not weakness. This is a message. And that message is clear. I still want to be strong, but you must meet me halfway. To rebuild muscle after 60, you must align your lifestyle with your intention. The most overlooked part of this alignment, what you eat before you sleep. Because while you sleep, your body works. It is in the darkness that your body weaves together the threads of your daily movements, your nutrients, your breath. Your muscles do not grow in the gym. They grow in stillness. But that growth requires a foundation, a building block. So, what should you eat before bed? The answer is not found in complexity. It is found in simplicity and wisdom. One food, rich in CaseinProtein, is your ally. You do not need a laboratory. You need a glass of low-fat cottage cheese or a small bowl of Greek yogurt. Why? Because these foods release protein slowly through the night. They drip-feed amino acids into your bloodstream, quietly rebuilding muscle tissue while you rest. They do not overload the system. They harmonize with it. This is called slow digesting nourishment, a form of internal martial art. Gentle, patient, but incredibly powerful. Many people after 60 suffer from sarcopenia, a progressive loss of muscle mass. But sarcopenia is not destiny. It is a condition that responds to attention. The response is intention, and attention is a form of love. So tonight, instead of a sugary snack or skipping food altogether, prepare your body for battle. Give it what it needs. A small serving of clean protein, rich in leucine and glutamine to spark the rebuilding process. And when you eat, do not rush. Eat slowly. Chew with mindfulness. Feel the food enter your body. Aware eating creates a deeper connection with the healing process. Now combine this with evening breath work, gentle stretching, and proper sleep. Your body shifts from fatigue to power, from inflammation to restoration, from age to grace. But understand this, nutrition is not a magic spell. It is one pillar in the house of health. You must also remain disciplined in your breath, your movement, and your thought. You must wake up with intention, move your body, hydrate deeply, sleep without screens, and live your day with clarity. Then, the protein you consume before bed becomes more than food. It becomes a message. It tells your body, you are still capable, you are still growing, you are still becoming. Too many elders walk through life as if strength has abandoned them. But the truth is, they have abandoned their rituals. You don't need to lift heavy. You don't need to run marathons. You need to walk with precision. You need to breathe like a master. You need to stretch like a tree. And you need to eat like your life depends on it. Because it does. No longer do stretching like your life depends on it, because it does. When the world begins to sleep and the distractions fade into stillness, your body does not shut down. It does not go silent. In fact, this is when the real transformation begins. As your eyes close and your breath slows, your internal systems light up with precision. They do not rest because the outer world has grown quiet. They begin their sacred work, renewing, rebuilding, and realigning every system that has been taxed through the day. And in this internal ceremony of repair, there is one element more powerful than most people ever recognize: what you eat before you sleep. This is the overlooked ritual of strength, the final act of your day that either builds you or breaks you. It's not dramatic, it's not complicated, it doesn't demand noise. That is why most ignore it. But what is silent is not weak. Silence is where power gathers. That's why nighttime nutrition is not just food. It's a silent weapon for muscle renewal, especially after the age of 60. At this stage of life, the body begins to respond differently to everything. Hormones shift, recovery slows, muscles begin to shrink, not because they must, but because the signals to keep them strong begin to fade. You don't lose muscle purely because you age. You lose it because you stop feeding it properly, moving it consistently, and prioritizing its restoration. And then, consistently and prioritizing its restoration. And among these three, the most neglected is the food that sets the foundation before sleep. You see, during the day, your muscles are in a constant state of challenge and stress. Every time you stand, walk, lift, or even breathe deeply, your muscle fibers are micro-tearing and sending out a request: rebuild me stronger than I was. But the response to this request doesn't come instantly. It's not like a repair team running in during the day. The body knows better. It waits for the most opportune moment, when you are still, when energy can be redirected, and when hormones like growth hormone and melatonin are naturally rising. That moment is during deep sleep. And for that repair to be effective, your body requires fuel, amino acids, particularly the ones that support muscle protein synthesis. But here's the problem. By the time most people go to bed, it's been hours since their last meal. The bloodstream has already absorbed and used up most of the available nutrients. The muscle's request for repair goes unanswered because there's nothing left to build with. It's like asking a craftsman to restore a broken temple with no stone, no mortar, no tools. This is where nighttime nutrition becomes a hidden source of power. When you consume a slow-digesting protein before bed, like cottage cheese or Greek yogurt, you are not simply eating, you are equipping the inner craftsman. You are laying down bricks for your body to build through the night. CaseinProtein, which is found in these foods, digests slowly, releasing amino acids into your bloodstream steadily for up to 6 to 8 hours. That means while you sleep, your body doesn't run on empty. It runs on purpose. Most people after 60 begin to accept fatigue as a normal state. They think weakness in the legs, a softer abdomen, or a slower recovery is just the cost of growing older. But that's a story, one that's been repeated so often that people mistake it for truth. The reality is that your body still responds to what you give it. Your muscles are still listening. They are still capable of growth, but they demand consistency, not intensity. And they require you to care enough to feed them before you enter your most regenerative state. When you eat protein at night, you're not just building muscle, you're stabilizing blood sugar, you're improving sleep quality, you're supporting hormone balance, you're reinforcing the bones that carry your frame, and you're teaching your body that growth is still the goal, even when the calendar says you're 60 or 70. This practice is not only physical, it is deeply mental. When you take control of your nighttime nutrition, you begin to respect the sacred nature of the evening. You stop seeing bedtime as just an escape from the day, and start seeing it as an invitation into a deeper state of healing. Every small act becomes intentional, the way you stretch, the breath you take, the food you choose. It all becomes part of a larger ritual, a philosophy of self-mastery that says, I am not finished growing. I am not giving in to the decay of age. I am here to live, fully, consciously, and with strength. And when you practice this consistently, you begin to feel the effects. Waking up with more energy, less stiffness, a steadier posture, a greater sense of stability when you walk. These are not small wins. These are transformations. These are signs that the body is responding to your attention, that it is rebuilding from the inside out, that it is no longer being neglected. But be aware, this path requires discipline. It's easy to fall into the trap of convenience, late-night snacks that sedate instead of strengthen, heavy meals that disturb your rest instead of promoting recovery, empty calories that dull the body instead of empowering it. Every choice you make before bed either supports your growth or steals from it. And in a world filled with noise, distraction, and indulgence, your commitment to quiet strength becomes your greatest advantage. You don't need supplements with names you can't pronounce. You need asylum or sentinel, which defends with names you can't pronounce. It's asylum so solid that you can see to the far end. You don't need supplements with names you can't pronounce. You don't need expensive powders or magic pills. You need wisdom. You need to remember that nature has already provided what your body needs. A single serving of high-quality protein, a consistent sleep routine, a quiet mind, and a belief that growth is still possible. And do not mistake simplicity for weakness. The greatest transformations come from small, repeated actions performed with deep intent. When you make the choice, night after night, to nourish your body with what it truly needs, you become the architect of your aging process. You take back control from the creeping forces of decay. You step into a quiet power, one that does not shout or boast, but stands steady like a mountain, unmoved by time. So tonight, when the sun falls and your body begins to soften into rest, ask yourself, what message am I sending to my body? Show me what message am I sending to my body? Show me what message am I sending to my body? Is it one of neglect or one of care? Is it one of surrender or strength? Let your answer come not through words, but through action. Prepare your body like a temple. Feed it with the intention of a craftsman. Let your last meal be a signal to yourselves that the work is not done, that the temple will be restored, that your strength still matters. Because it does. Not just for vanity, not just for pride, but because strength after 60 is not about looking young. It's about living free. Free from fragility, free from fear, free to walk, to lift, to carry, to breathe deeply and move fully through the life that still stretches ahead of you. This freedom is not found in the morning routines of the ambitious. It is not forged in the midday hustle. It is built silently, powerfully, while you sleep. And it begins with a simple truth. What you eat before bed determines what your body becomes when you rise. When the world grows quiet and the distractions fall away, a deeper process begins. It is not visible to the eye, and it makes no sound. There are no flashing lights or dramatic moments to announce its arrival. But it is during these unseen hours that the body truly begins to work. It does not happen during the noise, the movement, or the striving. It happens in stillness. Healing, the kind that lasts, the kind that changes you at the deepest level, does not occur in motion. It happens when you are still. We live in a world that praises motion. We are taught from a young age to keep moving, to push forward, to never stop. Rest is seen as weakness. Slowing down is viewed as falling behind. But this is not wisdom. It is exhaustion dressed as discipline. True discipline is not just the ability to act. It is the ability to pause. It is the awareness to recognize that your body, your mind, and your spirit need time not only to function, but to heal. You cannot outrun your wounds. You cannot distract your way out of pain. What you ignore will fester, and what you rush will crumble. The body is not a machine that rewards constant output. It is a living temple that demands rhythm, action balanced by stillness, energy followed by renewal. When you understand this, you stop seeing rest as optional and begin to treat it as sacred. Every muscle in your body repairs itself, not when you are lifting, stretching, or exerting, but when you are asleep. Every cell begins to regenerate, not when you're striving, but when you're surrendered. The immune system reboots, the nervous system recalibrates, the mind files away emotions, memories, stress. These systems do not need you to be strong, they need you to be still. But stillness is not just physical. You can lie in bed and still carry chaos in your mind. You can sit quietly and be at war with your own thoughts. Stillness is a state of being, not just a position. It is an alignment between the body and the breath, between the heart and the present moment. It is a place where you no longer fight against what is, but soften into it. And in that softening, healing begins. You see, most people believe healing requires doing. They think, what more can I take? What more can I fix? What more can I chase? But the most profound healing often comes not from addition, but subtraction. And that feeling of softness, that feeling of subtraction, you don't always need more supplements. You don't always need more effort. Sometimes you need less noise, less pressure, less expectation. You need space, internally and externally, to allow your system to do what it was built to do. Healing is the default setting of the human body. Your wounds want to close. Your muscles want to grow. Your spirit wants to rise. But they cannot do so if they are constantly being interrupted by stress, overstimulation, and noise. When you slow down, when you surrender to the silence, you create the conditions for repair. Consider nature. A tree does not grow taller by effort. It grows because it is rooted in stillness. It draws nutrients in silence. It absorbs sunlight in peace. It does not force its leaves to unfurl. They do so naturally when the time is right. The same is true of your body. If you force it without rhythm, it rebels. If you work without pause, it breaks. But if you care for it with balance, exerting then retreating, moving then stilling, it thrives. After the age of 60, the body's rhythms become even more sacred. You do not recover as fast. The margins are smaller. You no longer have the luxury of ignoring rest. You must now become wise. And wisdom begins with honoring stillness. When you finish a long walk or a workout, it's not the sweat that makes you stronger. It's the time afterward, when the fibers of your body knit themselves back together. When you sit in silence after movement, you are not wasting time. You are solidifying your growth. You are turning effort into transformation. And it is not just the body. The mind too needs stillness. The thoughts you keep pushing aside, the emotions you keep suppressing, they will find their way to the surface when you stop running. And when they do, you have a choice: to face them with courage, or to keep distracting yourself from what they're trying to teach you. Healing is a holistic process. You cannot just stretch a muscle and expect to heal a soul. You cannot take a vitamin and ignore the anxiety in your chest. You must create stillness in your life, where you can hear yourself, really hear yourself. This is where healing starts, in awareness, in reflection, in peace. So, what does stillness look like? It can be the final breath before you fall asleep, when you release the weight of the day. It can be a morning ritual of silent tea, eyes closed, breath slow. It can be a walk in nature without headphones, allowing your senses to reset. It can be sitting in your favorite chair, doing nothing and letting that be enough. Stillness does not need to be an hour. Sometimes a single mindful minute is enough to start the healing process. Stillness is also a decision, to step away from the noise, to log out, to unplug, to create a sanctuary in your life where your nervous system feels safe enough to relax. You cannot heal in a state of alarm. You cannot rebuild when you are constantly bracing for impact. Calm is not a luxury, it is a requirement for healing. The body keeps score. It remembers every sleepless night, every missed meal, every time you ignored the signals it gave you. But it also remembers every act of care, every time you chose rest over burnout, every time you paused instead of pushed. Stillness is not inactivity. It is active cooperation with your deeper self. When you are still, your breath slows, your heart rate stabilizes, your digestion improves, your brain switches into repair mode, and over time, these small moments of quiet become the foundation of strength. Because what is built in stillness lasts longer. It is deeper, more rooted, more stable. There is nothing weak about resting. There is nothing lazy about listening to your body. In fact, it is the ultimate discipline to trust that you don't have to prove your worth through constant motion. Your value is not in what you do, but in who you are. And who you are is worth healing. Many people spend their entire lives running from silence because they are afraid of what they will find. But what they don't realize is that the silence holds their restoration. It holds their next chapter. Then, unless destiny forces you to process things, it gives you time to look for you. Then, unless destiny holds their restoration, it holds their next chapter. The body knows how to return to balance. The mind knows how to return to peace. You must simply create the space for it. Stillness is not the enemy of productivity. It is its source. You will do more with greater clarity and purpose when you learn how to rest. You will speak more wisely when you are rooted in silence. You will move with greater power when you understand when to pause. In stillness, your senses sharpen, your intuition speaks louder, your thoughts become clearer. You begin to see what truly matters and what was merely noise all along. You reconnect with your breath, the rhythm that has carried you from birth, and in that breath, you find your way back to yourself. After 60, the body may not bounce back as quickly, but it can still build. It can still heal. It can still grow strong again. And so, if you look at the body, it still heals. It can still grow strong again, but it will not respond to force. It will respond to care, to consistency, to quiet rituals repeated every day, until healing becomes your new default. So let the world move. Let the noise rage outside. You, be still. You, be grounded. You, become the sanctuary your body has always needed. Because in stillness, there is wisdom. In stillness, there is power. And in stillness, there is power. And in stillness, there is power. And in stillness, there is healing. Strength after 60 is not something that appears by accident. It is not something that arrives simply because you wish it to. Strength at this stage of life is cultivated, not given. It is forged slowly through choices that most people overlook. It is carved out through small, daily rituals and deep, unwavering awareness of how your body, your breath, and your mind are interacting in every moment. The common belief is that strength belongs to the young, that vitality and energy are the birthrights of those who have not yet tasted age. But this belief is a distraction. It blinds us from understanding the truth. Real strength, the kind that endures, the kind that commands quiet respect, emerges not in the rush of youth, but in the rhythm of disciplined living. And that rhythm begins with daily ritual. When you are over 60, your body no longer tolerates neglect. It no longer forgives poor habits the way it once did. Every choice you make is either a step toward resilience or a drift toward fragility. You do not need to become obsessed or extreme. You need to become intentional. You need to become consistent. Because after 60, strength does not come from trying harder. It comes from showing up every day, even in the smallest ways. Your patience then, does it sometimes become trouble? So that every day, even in the smallest way, ritual is not routine. Routine is what you do without thinking. Ritual is what you do with full presence. It's the cup of warm water you drink in the morning before the world wakes. It's the walk you take after the sun rises, not as exercise, but as a way to honor your moving body. It's the 5 minutes of breathing before sleep, where you let go of the noise you've collected and return to your center. These rituals may seem insignificant, but they are the foundation of strength. They anchor you. They keep your energy circulating. They keep your joints open and your blood flowing. They remind your nervous system that you are not in a war zone, that you are safe, aware, and present. And in that state, your body does what it was designed to do. It rebuilds, it restores, it adapts. You cannot build strength if you are constantly in reaction. If your days are ruled by urgency and distraction, your body will follow that rhythm. It will become tight, inflamed, disconnected. But when your day is shaped by intention, your body responds with calm power. It becomes more aligned. It moves more fluidly. It stops working against you and starts working with you. An earlier poet said, "It is only when you peak that you see the day." And foods, but this only happens through awareness. You must be present. You must notice the subtle messages your body is sending. Awareness is not something you turn on in crisis. It must be woven into everything you do. From the way you rise in the morning, to how you chew your food, from how you breathe when you walk, to how you stretch before bed. Awareness is the thread that ties your rituals together. After 60, you are not powerless. You succeed only when you set the intention that something good will come to you. But you are not powerless. You are in a position of great wisdom. If you listen. Your body has carried you for decades. It has survived stress, injury, perhaps even illness. It knows more than you give it credit for, but it can no longer be forced. It must be guided, gently, consistently, with compassion. Strength at this stage is not measured by how much you lift or how far you run. It is measured by how you carry yourself, Can you stand without pain? Can you move with grace? Can you breathe deeply when things go wrong? Can you recover without panic? This is the strength that matters, and it is only built through practice. There is power in simple movement, a morning stretch done with attention, a posture check repeated every hour, a walk done without haste. These are not exercises. They are opportunities to communicate with your body, to build trust again, to remind your bones, your muscles, and your breath that you are still the master of this vessel. And food is also a ritual, not just what you eat, but how. Eating while distracted weakens digestion. Eating under stress inflames the body. But when you eat slowly, with awareness, with gratitude, you are not just feeding your body, you are nourishing you are strength. Every meal is a moment to choose vitality. Every bite is a message. I choose to build, not break down. Hydration becomes sacred, not because it is trendy, but because every cell in your body depends on it to function well. The stiffness you feel in your joints, the fatigue in your limbs, often they are not signs of age, but signs of neglect. When you drink water with awareness, when you make it a daily ritual to replenish what is constantly lost, your body begins to respond. Adi Amen to the power of your will. Adi Amen to the power of your will. Adi Amen to the power of your will. More responsive, more alive. Sleep too is a ritual. It is not just time away from the world, it is your greatest healer. But you must enter sleep with care. Your night begins with how you end your day, the last thoughts you carry into sleep, the last movements you make, the last breath you take. Before closing your eyes, they all shape the quality of rest you receive. And without quality rest, no strength can be sustained. When you live with awareness, you begin to see your entire day as a training ground. Every moment becomes part of your practice. Every conversation, every breath, every pause is a chance to choose strength over weakness, clarity over confusion, presence over numbness. And this path requires patience. Strength after 60 is not built in a week. It is not a result of one great decision. It is the product of 1,000 small ones. And every day you keep your ritual, even when you don't feel like it, you are reinforcing your foundation. You are sending a signal to your body. We are not done. We are still building. There will be days when you don't feel strong, days when your energy is low, when your joints ache, when your motivation wanes. But this is why ritual matters. It carries you through those moments. It gives you structure when your willpower fades. It gives you direction when you feel lost. It gives you momentum, not through force, but through rhythm. You don't need more pressure. You need more presence. And the beautiful truth is this: the body is always listening. Even after years of neglect, it still responds when you return to it with care. Muscles grow again. Bones strengthen. Breath deepens. Movement becomes easier, not because time has reversed, but because you have remembered how to live in harmony with your body. There is a quiet strength that comes with age when you choose this path. It is not flashy, it is not loud, but it is unshakable. It is the strength that walks without fear, the strength that rises every morning with purpose, the strength that does not depend on external praise, but is rooted deep within. And this strength is available to anyone, regardless of age, past mistakes, or current condition. I must tell you that at any moment, the strength is available to anyone, regardless of age, past mistakes, or current condition. I must tell you that at any moment, the strength is available to anyone, regardless of age, past mistakes, or current condition. You must let go of your past fears, your fevers of hope, your wild. It is not about perfection. It is about returning to yourself, returning to what you know is right, returning to the small, powerful practices that align you with health, clarity, and calm. You do not need to reinvent yourself. You need to return to your center. You need to return to the breath, the body, the present moment. And you must do it every day. Because strength after 60 is not the result of a single breakthrough. 6 conic, Zen, Sonic, it is the reward of daily devotion, a life lived with discipline, a body treated with respect, and a spirit anchored in awareness.